If you look towards the east on the map of India, you will see a country called Bhutan. Alongside it, you will also see a state named Sikkim in Bhutan, which is comparable to Kerala in area. 84% of the population today follows Buddhism and 11% practices Hinduism. The total population of Bhutan is just 800,000. Today, Bhutan is a separate country, but did you know that India once had the opportunity to integrate Bhutan into its territory? But that did not happen. On the other hand, there is a state like Sikkim, which India tried to integrate for a long time and finally managed to do so. In today's video, I will explain the reasons why Bhutan could not be merged with India. The relationship between Bhutan and India is very old, but the real story of their relations begins in the year 1730 with a war. Near the state of West Bengal, there was a princely state called Cooch Behar. In 1730, the Mughals attacked this region. Since the border of Cooch Behar was adjacent to Bhutan, the king of Cooch Behar went to Bhutan seeking help. Bhutan provided assistance to him, but in return, it took control of Cooch Behar and it remained under Bhutanese control until 1760. The king of Cooch Behar became a puppet of the Bhutanese. For about 10 years, Bhutan ruled over Cooch Behar. However, in the 1770s, there was a major change in the situation. During this time, a rift had emerged within the royal family of Cooch Behar. In 1765, the British gained control over all of Bengal, and around the same time the kings of Cooch Behar started fighting among themselves. Two factions had emerged within the royal family, and one of the kings, Maharaja Dharendra Narayan, sought help from the British. In 1772, a deal was struck between Dharendra Narayan and the British. According to this deal, the British drove out the Bhutanese army from Cooch Behar and took control of Cooch Behar themselves. This move also established direct enmity with Bhutan. The Bhutanese army was no match for the East India Company. Consequently, in 1774, Bhutan was compelled to sign an agreement. Under this agreement, Bhutan withdrew its army from Cooch Behar, and the East India Company gained a foothold in Bhutan's timber business. Similar to Cooch Behar, there was an area of 350 square kilometers near Bengal and present-day Assam known as the Duars. This area was also a point of contention between Bhutan and the British. Both countries had conflict in this area which lasted around 80 years. Finally, in 1834, the British East India Company completely took control of the Duars region in Assam. Once again, a truce was established between the two, but Bhutan was not one to sit quietly. Despite continuous defeats in 1862, Bhutan attacked both Sikkim and Cooch Behar. However, this attack yielded no significant results, and eventually another treaty was signed known as the Treaty of Sinchula. According to this treaty, the British regained control over the Duars region in Assam and Bengal. In return, Bhutan received an annual payment of 50,000 rupees from the British. Around this time, significant changes occurred in Bhutan's internal politics. In the 1870s, Bhutanese leaders began to fight among themselves, leading to a near-civil war situation. However, amidst this turmoil, a new leader emerged to stabilize Bhutan. In 1885, a new leader, Ugyen Wangchuck, came to the forefront. Wangchuck united Bhutan and worked significantly towards its development. However, during this period, an event occurred that drastically changed Bhutan, and interestingly, this event did not take place in Bhutan. In 1886, Tibet attacked Sikkim, leading to a war between Tibet and Britain. Bhutan's King Wangchuck seized this opportunity and intervened as a mediator in the conflict. In 1904, after lengthy negotiations, an agreement was reached between the two countries. Ugyen Wangchuck became highly renowned for his efforts. In 1907, he was declared the King of Bhutan. Today, his descendants continue to rule Bhutan. After mediating the Tibet Agreement, both the Bhutanese and British governments thought the troubles were over, but they were mistaken. In 1910, China attacked Tibet. Not only did China lay claim to Tibet, but it also asserted claims over Sikkim and Bhutan. To protect itself from Chinese aggression, Bhutan signed the Treaty of Punakha with the British East India Company in 1910. Under this treaty, Bhutan's security became the responsibility of the British government, and the annual subsidy of 50,000 rupees previously given to Bhutan was increased to 1 lakh rupees. Bhutan's defense and foreign policy also came under the control of the British state. In exchange, the British government claimed that they would not interfere in Bhutan's internal affairs. However, by 1926, Wangchuck feared that the British government would remove his family and take over Bhutan, so in 1924 he secured assurance from the British government that the Wangchuck family would continue to rule Bhutan. After this, in 1946, when discussions were underway to unify all princely states in India, during this time there were also discussions concerning Sikkim and Bhutan. It was around this time that news surfaced about Tibet attempting to form a new alliance with Sikkim and Bhutan. All three states were concerned at that time about facing pressure from both India and China. In Sikkim, Arthur Hope Kinnison, who was the last British officer stationed there, had also cautioned Indian leadership at that time. Hope Kinnison wrote that it was crucial for India to maintain good relations with Bhutan, as otherwise Bhutan could fall into China's embrace. Both Bhutan and Sikkim were mountainous states, and both feared that due to existing treaties they might be treated like other princely states. Therefore, both states asserted that they were different from the rest because of their unique cultures and religions. Bhutan referred to the 1910 treaty, asserting that they should not be compared with other states as that treaty guaranteed their internal autonomy. In June 1947, Bhutan sent a letter to Mountbatten stating that Bhutan did not want to become a part of India. In the Constituent Assembly, Nehru also accepted that Sikkim and Bhutan were not like other princely states and were independent. They were under India's security umbrella. Following this, in 1948, a standstill agreement was signed between Bhutan and India. Immediately after this, Nehru presented two proposals to Bhutan. Firstly, that Bhutan could merge with India and then attain the status of a state while retaining its autonomy. The second offer was for Bhutan to enter into a treaty with India, under which Bhutan would hand over its defense, communication, and foreign affairs to India. Bhutan was not ready for either of these proposals. Finally, Nehru agreed that communication would remain with Bhutan and India would only guide Bhutan in foreign and defense matters. This arrangement continued between Bhutan and India until 1949, and eventually, on August 9, 1949, an agreement was reached between Bhutan and India. This agreement laid the foundation for the relationship between India and Bhutan. Under this agreement, India accepted Bhutan as an autonomous and independent country that would remain under India's security umbrella. This meant that Bhutan's foreign affairs would be guided by India's direction. In 1954, Prime Minister Nehru invited Bhutan's King Jigme Dorji Wangchuck as a guest on Republic Day for the first time. In 1958, Nehru himself visited Bhutan, accompanied by Indira Gandhi. Following this visit, relations between both countries strengthened. Initially, there were some hesitations from Bhutan to hand over its foreign affairs to India, but in 1959, when China fully occupied Tibet, acceptance for India grew stronger in Bhutan. Bhutan and India have maintained close relations. However, Bhutan has never become part of India again. So, friends, how did you like this story of Bhutan? Please comment and don't forget to like and share the video. Also, subscribe to History Connect for more such interesting stories. Thank you.